Good evening, everybody. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach Brennan, and then we'll take questions again. In the interest of fairness, let's stick to one at a time, and we'll get back to you if you have follow-ups. Thank you. Coach?
Good to see everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. Obviously, last weekend was a really, really busy, exciting weekend here at Arizona. You know, I think Desiree and Tony and everybody involved was just like all the multiple events and Hispanic Heritage Day at the game and just all that like made for an amazing weekend on campus here. And so as I look forward to this next coming week and us inviting our friends down here from BYU, a top 25 team, you know, my challenge to our fan base and to everybody that loves the University of Arizona is to show up. Let's sell out Arizona Stadium. Let's make this thing the hostile environment we know it can be and make it really challenging for our opponents, when they get here. I think that's something I know we experience every time we go on the road. In the Big 12, we experienced it 2 weeks ago at Iowa State. Sold out, rocking, loud, hard to deal with, and I think that's something that we are absolutely capable of here. And I think, and also when we do that, I would also ask our fans, like, let's be respectful in this thing. I think that's one of those things that we're better than that. And let's be here and then let's see a great game. Let's cheer on the Wildcats with everything we got. Let's make it incredibly hard on BYU, but let's be respectful in the process. So we're excited. We've got a big week ahead of us, a lot of work to do, and I will take your questions now.
Thank you, Coach. We'll start with Justin and then Troy.
So after the Oklahoma State game, you mentioned the third quarter, how it's kind of a crisis situation. After reflecting on the film and just kind of looking at the last few games, what do you see in that category?
Well, I think that comes down to execution, right? And that's part of Red Line, a big part of it. And I think when we get those opportunities, I think I mentioned it. We had 3 opportunities in relative good field position, and we have to capitalize on those. And that's one of those things that when you're playing in a conference that is as competitive as the Big 12, you can't miss opportunities, and those are opportunities that we have to take advantage of.
You touched upon the special teams in terms of Michael Salgado Medina making the 57-yard field goal. How do you go evaluating week to week? Yes, you have the 57-yarders, but it's kind of struggled between that 40 and 49-yard range this season.
Yeah, but he also hit a 43-yarder right at the end of half, right? And we haven't talked about that. I thought our offense put together, we got to stop. Our offense put together a good clock drive with less than a minute or about a minute. And we got down there in field position, and Michael hit it through the uprights. And so we have faith in Money Mike. That guy, he's a young player, but he's getting better every week, and we're going to keep putting him out there because we believe in him.
Michael and David.
The way that you described coaching him up before the 57-yarder, would you say that that's typical of the way that you approach most situations with players?
What do you mean?
Where you're encouraging him, like, hey, go out and do it. We believe in you. That sort of. Is that kind of indicative of your coaching style, would you say?
I think so. I think every player is different, and you coach them all differently. You treat them all fairly, but you coach them all differently. And so, some players respond to, different kind of stimulus, right? But I think at the end of the day, everyone likes to be encouraged. Nobody likes to get beaten to the ground, right? If you make a mistake, do we have a better chance to respond from that mistake if me as the head coach is, all over your case and making you feel bad about the mistake you already made, right? Or is it better for me to take the approach of like, no, we're putting you back out there because we believe in you, because we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't put you back out there. So go make the plays you're capable of making.
David and then Jason.
Coach, this was the first game you really had a full, healthy stable of running backs and be able to use them all. How do you feel about the way that rotation went and the results that you got from it?
I feel good about the rotation. I think we want to run the ball better. I think Oklahoma State did a good job of loading up the box, and obviously that's something that we're going to have to be ready for this weekend, right? We have a top 10 or top 8 defense in the country coming in here. They're extremely well coached. They have good players. They know their system. They believe in it, and they're multiple. They're able to be multiple in it, but they play incredibly physical football. So that's something that we got to get ready for this week.
Jason and then John.
What makes the BYU quarterback so good, especially for a freshman?
I think it's really, we've known this kid for a while. We watched him playing in high school, and he's obviously a dual threat guy and a real dual threat guy. I think he's their second leading rusher on their team, or second highest carries anyway, and he's really effective throwing the ball too. So I think that's one of those deals where when you have a young player and you can get him comfortable and get him into flow like they have, and then also play good defense behind it, it gives him a chance to play with real confidence, and he's doing that right now.
Jenna and Troy.
Noah Fifita was named the offensive player of the week for the Big 12. Just what do you think about that and just the progress that he needs to make?
I'm excited for Noah, and I think he's one of those young people who has consistently shown up for the University of Arizona, consistently shown up for his teammates, consistently shown up for our coaching staff, and we love him for that. And I think, he would even tell you there's probably more plays for him to make in that game on Saturday than he made. But it was great to see him have a big game. He's one of those players that we're going to have to lean on as we get into, deeper and deeper into Big 12 play. And especially when this weekend, when you have a top 10 defense coming to town and a top 25, football team, we're going to need Noah Fifita to play at the level he's capable of playing at.
Troy and Brian.
One of the things going into the week that was kind of talked about a lot was the drop balls by the receivers. I think it was 11 going into the game. Just your thoughts on their performance and how they're able to bounce back against Oklahoma State.
I thought they did a great job of that. I thought they did a good job of finishing. I think that's one of those things as an old receiver guy. That's one of those deals that if you talk about it too much, it becomes a bigger issue than it really is. Most of the time, that comes from, just being inconsistent with your hands and eyes. Trying to run before you catch it. Your hands, getting behind your eyes, not just like really simple detail of catching the football. But I thought they did a great job of it, and I've told you guys many times, I have a super high level of belief in Coach Bobby Wade and his ability to coach and teach and motivate that group, and I think we're going to continue to see good plays from them.
Brian and then Justin.
You've definitely been able to have the depth at receiver with so many different guys catching balls. I think it's up to like 16 now when you include tight ends and running backs. But is there a point where you want to get to where, kind of like basketball coaches trim the rotation, where you want to maybe have 4 or 5 receivers, or do you want to keep going 7, 8 potentially every game?
That's a good question. I would say really it's a little bit more of a function of just like fast and fresh. And so because if we feel now some guys have made more plays than others, right? So those guys are still getting the lion's share of those plays, of those snaps. And then there's also some young players in there that are in that growth and developmental place, and you're starting to see more from them on game day. Like a good example of that this last Saturday was Gio, right? So, there's I'm excited because I think that group will continue to improve as we go. And one of the things that we've been saying all along is that the more competition we have in the practice environment amongst every position, the more it raises the level of play in that group. And I think there's been a lot of fun stuff in that group, and I think there's more to come.
Justin and then Michael.
Now, this is kind of a loaded and big question, but how would you assess the culture that is currently in place? I know last year's a different case, but how do you feel about the coaches and the players and just kind of where this thing is going right now?
I think we're in a great place. I think red line is obvious to see. It shows up everywhere. I think the players and the coaches are in great alignment of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to move forward together. It's been, I think culture is one of those things that it's such an overused word these days, but it is such an important part of building a football program. And, it's something that your players and your coaches have to fight for every day, and I think ours do. And I think everybody knows exactly what we want it to be and what it's supposed to look like. And when people are outside of that, they don't fit. And it's either a player or a coach making sure a guy knows that he's stepped outside of that space or outside of the culture and that it's not the direction we want to go. So I think we're in a great spot with it. Again, it is the culture of a football team and football program is always a work in progress. But I like where we're at and I like the direction we're headed with it.
Michael and David.
Coming out of the last game and heading into this week, how would you assess the state of the offensive line, both health-wise and performance-wise?
Yeah, I think those guys have really come a long way since we started, and I feel good about the depth of it and the guys that we've been able to plug and play as we go. In terms of how ready they're going to be for that game, I trust Josh, right? Like for this game on Saturday, right? Like Big Josh is a fantastic coach. Those players are extremely hardworking. They're all super, super committed, and so Josh will have them ready to play. and it's a big challenge, right? Like I said, already said, we're playing a physical team. They're big up front. It's one of those games when you play that you know it's going to be a physical football game every time you play BYU.
David and Damien.
Trey Spivey has become a red zone target for Noah. As you evaluate him, what makes him the type of receiver that a quarterback can be comfortable with inside the 20 when you need to try to get points?
I think what showed up on Saturday is just how competitive Trey Spivey is. You know what I mean? Like the two plays that he made where he was, breaking the tackle and running through contact. I thought that I was just really, really excited for Trey and really impressed with it. But he is a big body. And so you like that in the red zone, because a lot of those plays in the red zone are, you normally catch the ball and contact is imminent. And so his ability to play the ball strong and get the ball on his body and finish down there has shown up, and we're excited about that.
Damien and then Jason.
So Brent, now you go back looking at tape with regards to Noah. What play or what decision did he make on Saturday that you felt best exemplified the strengths that he brings?
I would say the play that exemplifies that with Noah is the touchdown throw to Luke Weishaupt, right? They bring the corner off the edge, right? He feels it. He doesn't even see it. He escapes that. He makes two other guys miss. He picks up a good block from Tristan Bounds. And then as he escapes, he has three defenders converging on him and they're going to level him. And he still delivers a perfect strike to Luke Weishaupt on the opposite, outside the hash, on the complete opposite side of the field of where he started. It's just an incredibly impressive play to be able to escape all that and then deliver that ball with accuracy. When obviously it led to a big touchdown. But I think there's a lot of great plays he made. He's a really tough kid. I don't think he gets enough credit for how tough he is. But just the amount of throws that he was able to complete, while he was taking a shot, that takes courage. And, that's one of the many reasons we love Noah so much.
Jason and then Justin.
That kind of leads into my question. On that play, Gio Richardson had a block.
Right.
To kind of make sure Luke was able to score. He's outside the big catch down the field. With that in mind, what's kind of the next step for Gio and kind of his progression overall?
Well, that's one of those things with the young player who's talented like Gio is getting him integrated into the game plan, which we've been doing, bit by bit, and that's been growing as we've gotten more games into the season. But a lot of that comes with his, because early on, I think you remember, we threw him a deep ball and he didn't finish it and some of that stuff. And then I thought that was a great response from him the other day, because he didn't finish on the deep ball on the sideline, on our sideline earlier in the game. And then later you saw him come up with that incredible catch in a contested 50-50 ball. And so, his process is, continue to bust his tail in the practice environment so that he continues to get more and more comfortable playing on this level, more and more comfortable with the scheme. And then what happens is, I think lots of times young players, they all want to make a big play, right? And that's so sometimes they get outside of the framework of what you're doing schematically, and it actually hurts the chance for a good play to happen. And really what you need them to do is you need them to make the right play. And by doing the right play, the big plays will come out of the scheme.
Justin and then Michael.
When you and Kalani Sitake were at Oregon State, what did he show you that made you believe that at some point he was going to be a head coach down the road?
Kalani's a great human being. We had a lot of fun together when we were coaching there. We lived in the same neighborhood. Our kids ran around together in the neighborhood at all hours of the day and night. It was really fun. When we were together, I always thought he had just incredible command with the team. At that time, he was our defense coordinator, but he just had a great way about him, and he has a great ability to be honest with people, but also be demanding, and that showed up in our time together. And it's been fun for me because just watching the success he's had and continuing to have our friendship. Over the years, he's also been a guy that we've talked about stuff that we were dealing with, within our program or within college football or whatever. He's a really good football coach and an even better human being.
Michael and then David.
So Myron Robinson was out for pretty much all of training camp and just kind of worked his way back. in and got his most playing time this last week, and he had that very impressive chase down.
Yeah, you saw him
sack.
chasing him. Yeah.
What did you think of that play and his upside moving forward?
We're really excited about Myron. We've just been, kind of waiting for him to get healthy, and then on top of that is just like how quickly can he understand what we're doing schematically, so that when he's in there, you love his ability, you love his talent and his physicality. Now he needs to know what to do so that he's not a liability schematically, right? But he's a really hardworking kid. He loves football. He loves to play. We've seen, even in the special teams in the last couple of weeks, we've seen him do a great job at his job, do it exactly right. And I think that part of it, I tell freshmen all the time, the best way to play is to know what to do. Just to be right on schematically is to know what to do. And he's a guy that's working really hard at that, and I think we're going to be excited about him.
Our last two will be David and Troy.
Brent, I asked you about fourth down last week, so I'll do it again this week. First drive, 4th and 3, at the goal line, you decided to go for it, get a touchdown. Second half, early 4th and 3 midfield, you punt it. What went into those two decisions?
Just the flow of the game. The flow of the game. Last week your question caught me off guard because it was just, we were on the minus, 29 or wherever we were. The midfield one was more of a, we're playing great on defense. Let's pin them inside the 10 and let's go play defense and see if we can't get better field position and come back and play it. That was the second one. The first one, it was early in the game. And I was like, let's go for it. Let's go score. We had such an emphasis all week on starting fast, and I thought we did that. And then obviously Noah makes a perfect throw, and Trey, breaks a tackle and knifes it in the end zone for a big touchdown to start it. So it was great.
We'll finish up with Troy.
I know it's a small sample size, but just the importance of getting Braden Locke in there, getting him some reps just to stay ready for the course of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. B. Locke he's been an outstanding teammate. He's one of those players on your team that if you spend any time around him, he's going to end up being a football coach at some point. Poor guy. But he's a great kid. He's really cerebral. He has real talent. He's a really good player. I think we're really lucky to have a high caliber, guy in that role like him. And he has a super high care factor. So it was great. It was great to get him out there. Great to see him play. Great to see him hit some throws. It was good.
Thank you, everybody.